I started out wanting to prove that addition cubes and multiplication cubes are all commutative. You can add one whole cube to another whole cube, or you can multiply one whole cube by another whole cube, and it doesn't matter which direction you can multiply. So it's commutative addition and multiplication. So I proved that to myself, but realized that they're 3 times. The central ghost number is 3 times given the outer ghost number, and that's all the same in these. It's all the same in these. 3 times give the outer ghost numbers. 3 times give the outer ghost numbers, but they're all commutative. I wanted to start out making a video about that, and this was the notes I was going to have. Next to the equation being solved on both sides of the equal sign, I believe that the commutative property is the second most symmetric property of algebra. In fact, I believe, and that's where I started considering the central ghost number. I don't include that in the commutative property. But what if I did? What if I added 12 to 1 plus 3? So this shows a typical, this is a better illustration of a typical. This shows how the diagonals add to the outer ghost numbers. 9 plus 21 is 30 on both sides. And 15 is 30 on both sides to the diagonal. Well, these hyperghost numbers, I discovered if I added the central ghost number into the commutative process, 12 plus 1 plus 1, I guess I used other numbers. 12 plus 1 plus 1 is 14 on both sides. 12 plus 3 is 18 on both sides. And 12 plus 2 plus 2 is 16 on both sides. Anyway, when you add those out to the outer ghost numbers, they equal 14. They equal 144. These outer ghost numbers, these outer ghost numbers right here of the outer octant equal 114. And but does it work horizontally? No, it doesn't, unless you add this. But it doesn't go horizontally on these hyperghost numbers. It's all the numbers in the cube, all added together equals 144. It doesn't go diagonally anymore. There's no diagonal in this. It's all of them added together, the same with these. And you can stop this and play it back if you want to and freeze it. It's not that the number is added diagonally anymore. They don't make no sense. Even with the ghost number included, they don't make no sense. They don't add to these. But when you add the cube of all of these together, they end up adding to 192 in this case, which is the outer ghost number of this. 16, 12 times. That's 3 to the 4th power. 3 is before, as in this, the central ghost number 3 times, but to the 4th power, the same as with 144. It's all these central ghost number, interleary ghost numbers added together. Not no diagonals anymore, but the cubic ghost numbers, and they all add up to 144. And that's a central ghost number 3, as before, added 4 times. Never mind these screwed up parts. Added 4 times to the 4th power. 3 to the 4th power. And that's simply by including the central ghost number in the commutative process to the outside layer. And when you add the central ghost number, that's what makes it a hypermagic ghost number. The inner layer ghost numbers become what you add together in this case, and I'm assuming in multiplication it would be the central ghost numbers, and I wonder if they would be commutative. Would they still be the inner layer ghost numbers, or would they revert back to diagonals or something if you added 2 together? But I'm assuming that they work the same way as the commutative property does. In addition, regular ghost numbers and multiplication regular ghost numbers, they'd be commutative, and they would retain their, if you did the commutative property on both of them, they would retain their cubic property of the inner layer ghost numbers all added together. No diagonals. There's no diagonals like there was in this old type of. These only include the diagonals. 9 and 21 is 30 on both sides. 15 and 15 is 30 on both sides. 15, 15, 30 on both sides. And whatever else. These don't deal in diagonals. These deal in the whole cubic inner layer structure of these. When you add these cubic octants, these inner cubic octants together to get 18, there's not no secret to this. The reason all these are 18s is because I did 1, 2, 3 up here, and I did 1, 2, 3 down here. I wrapped them around twice. But this don't have that type of symmetry. But I'm just using random numbers again. But I'm using the commutative property, and still it requires the addition of all these. This is in addition form, by the way. It's not no diagonals. There's not no addition of the diagonals. But there is a cubic structure. This cubic structure ends up adding to 192. All these purple inner layer numbers, inner layer ghost numbers. So that's a very different type of magic ghost number. It's not no diagonals anymore. It's the inner layer cubic structure. All the purple numbers that are derived from the cubic numbers of each octant. I call them octants because there's 8 cubes that surround the central ghost number cube. And you add the whole cubic inner layer ghost numbers together. You don't use diagonals like you did in my previous ghost numbers. So, and for these to be 3 raised to the 4th power, that's how you get the central ghost number. 12 added 12 times, and 16 added 12 times. And you divide that by 3, so you get the 4th power. It's like 3 of these as before, but 4 times. And with that, you get this inner layer ghost numbers, not the diagonals, but the inner layer ghost numbers added together. And I'm assuming in a multiplication cube, it would be the inner layer ghost numbers multiplied together to give the outer layer ghost numbers, if you include the central ghost number in the commutative process. If you multiply the central ghost number along with the outer primary numbers. And so this is a really big discovery for me. I never did think that they could all exist anything beyond diagonals. They exist in a cubic form too. You add the cubics and inner layer ghost numbers and get an outer layer by adding the central ghost number into the process, into the commutative process. So I tried to explain one thing, I ended up discovering something totally new. For now I call them hyper magic ghost numbers. I'll probably end up titling this YouTube video something else to make it more exact. Hyper inner layer magic ghost number. Hyper magic inner layer ghost numbers. Hyper magic inner layer ghost number cubes. To emphasize, I don't know. Hyper inner layer central ghost number cubes. I don't know. I'll just call it hyper magic ghost numbers, but they're distinctive that they're all added together. There's no diagonals anymore, like in this old-fashioned magic ghost number. It's just the diagonals add up. And I believe I'm repeating myself, but I'm really excited because I never did think that these type of things would exist, but they do. And I'm going to explore these more and find out more about them. These 18 added up, and then all these numbers added up, and the central ghost number on that one, 3 to the 4th power, and the central ghost number on this, 3 to the 4th power. So that's it. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.